Hi, it's Edward, back with another video. Please take a moment to click the thumbs up button below and consider subscribing to the channel. Please also share this video via social media and with your friends via email. Thank you for your support. Today, I read several financial news articles. I've included links to the articles in the description below. I encourage you to read the articles to support the authors and news sources. As a private American citizen, I'd like to report and share my transformative thoughts through commentary regarding small sections of these articles that are of public interest. Today, I read an article on Yahoo Finance put out by MoneyWise and written by Bethan Moorcraft titled, "Don't Invest in the U.S. Jeremy Grantham Issues Warning Over American Stocks, Saying S&P 500 Could Crash by Over 50% If a Couple of Wheels Fall Off." According to the author of this article, a renowned British investor has made a bold market call, speaking on the possibility of the S&P 500 plunging by over 50%. Okay, here are my thoughts. Before we even get started, many people consider Jeremy Grantham as a perma-bear. He has been out in the media for quite some time calling for a big stock market crash. The stock market certainly could crash someday, but if you are out of the market, how many gains might you miss if it takes many years for a stock market crash to come to fruition? Understand, I'm asking you a question. I'm not providing financial advice. Always seek financial advice from a qualified professional in good standing who puts your interests first and foremost. Getting back to the article, the author quotes Jeremy Grantham as saying, "Don't invest in the U.S., pointing to the nation's $33 trillion debt crisis, elevated interest rate environment, unsustainably high yield levels, and the immense challenges in the real estate and mortgage markets." Instead, he pointed to developed markets like the United Kingdom, Japan, and most of Europe as being good and cheaper alternatives to investing in the U.S. Well, here's my opinion. I think this is very interesting. I think legendary investor Warren Buffett might disagree with Jeremy Grantham about not investing in the U.S. Warren Buffett once said, and I'll quote, "For 240 years, it's been a terrible mistake to bet against America." Of course, consider the fact that Warren Buffett has a lot of investments in America, so I'm sure he wants you to keep your money invested in American stocks. Getting back to this article, Jeremy Grantham was quoted talking about the S&P 500 potentially dipping to 3,000 points from where it is today. He said, and I'll quote, "If everything works out badly, which it sometimes does, I would not be amazed if it went to 2,000. But that would take a couple of wheels to fall off. Really, it's the Magnificent Seven, the 7 largest U.S. companies by market cap, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Nvidia, Tesla, and Meta, that are carrying the U.S. market and asserting its global dominance." Now, for me personally, I think there's something to this. I do believe there is a lot of optimism and excitement lately because of artificial intelligence. I'm not saying that some of these stocks won't continue to do well in the long run, but I think all of the artificial intelligence hype could fade at some point and result in some of these stocks coming under pressure. Just this week, Nvidia shares dropped approximately 5% after China canceled $5 billion worth of chip orders. I'm not saying that I agree with Jeremy Grantham that the S&P 500 could drop as much as he thinks. Is it possible? Sure, anything is possible. As I noted earlier, many people consider Jeremy Grantham to be a perma-bear. In reading the comments beneath this article, some people echo this. For example, a commenter named Herbert writes that Grantham makes that same prediction every month for the last 30 years. It's amazing that some folks pay for his newsletter. Another commenter named Hee writes, "Classical bearish outlook. A broken clock is right twice a day. Guy has been right about every bubble and wrong about the growth the 97% of the other times. The greatest thing Jeremy Grantham never takes into account is American ingenuity. The S&P 500 includes 500 of the greatest companies." What do you think about all this? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think the S&P 500 could fall to the level that Jeremy Grantham is talking about in this article? If so, let me know about your thoughts in the comment section below. I read an interesting article today on Yahoo Finance put out by Business Insider and written by Theron Mohammed titled, "Billionaire Investor Stanley Druckenmiller Sounds the Alarm on Stocks and the Economy. Something's Going to Break." According to the author of this article, Stanley Druckenmiller has sounded the alarm on America's spiraling debt, warning an economic disaster is looming, and issued a bleak outlook for stocks. The billionaire investor and head of a family office also disclosed a huge bet on short-term treasuries and touted gold and Bitcoin as solid bets. Well, this is the second billionaire that I've reported about today that believes there is a bleak outlook for stocks. This article references several quotes from Stanley Druckenmiller. One such quote says, "We had a bubble, we had a QE period for 10 years, and we need to make an adjustment fundamentally and price-wise. 15 times earnings was about right. We're at 20 times earnings. I don't know what we're doing at 20 times earnings." Here are my thoughts. I think the words economic disaster could be a bit sensational. In terms of the market, I think a lot is going to depend on what the Federal Reserve does moving forward. I also think a lot depends on what happens geopolitically as well. If things get a lot worse around the world, who knows what is possible? Do you think the stock market is overpriced and valuations will retreat at some point? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Here's another interesting article from Yahoo Finance put out by Fortune and written by Sydney Lake. This is titled, "Housing Market Affordability is So Bad That Zillow Says It Will Take You 13 and a half years to break even on a purchase from July onward." According to the author of this article, today's housing market is the least affordable and least accessible it's been in decades, as mortgage rates reached 8% this fall and home prices continue to rise. Now, I agree with this, but keep in mind, mortgage rates have not stopped at 8%. Yesterday, they were at 8.125%, and I've seen them as high as 8.5% for a 30-year fixed-rate insured conventional mortgage in the past month. The 10-year Treasury was down slightly today, and I am sure this is going to impact mortgage rates tomorrow. This could provide a temporary reprieve for buyers. Keep in mind the interest rates that you see advertised are for an ideal borrower. If someone has less than ideal credit, it is certainly possible that he or she will be paying significantly more than what is advertised. The author of this article goes on to say new home buyers can expect to spend about 13 and a half years in their house before breaking even on their investment, according to Nicole Bachad, a senior economist at Zillow. Apparently, Zillow's analysis took into account typical and forecasted home value increases based on the Zillow Home Value Index, assumptions for closing costs, agent fees at the time of the sale, maintenance costs, and interest payments. Zillow's estimates are based on market conditions as of July, when mortgage rates were over 7%. As mortgage rates near 8% and home prices level off, it now takes longer to break even on a home purchase when considering the cost of interest. Hearing all of this, do you think purchasing a home is not a good investment? Well, maybe over the short term it wouldn't be a good investment, but there are a lot of forces at play, and no one has a crystal ball regarding where the housing market is going to go. Keep in mind that real estate has a great track record over the long term. Many millionaires and multimillionaires today have a high net worth because of investing in real estate. I think if someone is planning to buy a property and then flip it in 2 years to make a huge profit, someone like this might need to get prepared for that plan to not work out so well. Of course, this all depends on the entry price for the property, and it depends on the local real estate market where that property is located. Real estate is very local, so who knows? Maybe someone could buy a property cheap, time it right, and flip it for a profit. Yet, I am sure there are some naive homebuyers who just think real estate goes straight up forever. That's not always been the case. We have simply been living in a Twilight Zone episode in the past few years with regard to the real estate market. It has not been a normal time for real estate at all. I think it is interesting that this story references maintenance costs. This is something that a lot of people don't think about. A home is a machine for living, and it costs money to maintain that machine. With all of the inflation that we have been experiencing lately, it can cost a lot of money to maintain a home, especially if you don't know how to fix anything yourself. Good luck finding contractors who will return your phone calls. When you do find a contractor who will return your phone calls, it could take a while before he or she can come out to your house to start doing the work. Even then, you will likely get sticker shock when you find out how much it is going to cost. Many young people who have never owned a home before have no clue how much home maintenance really costs. Many young people have no idea how expensive it is to replace a furnace or air conditioning system or even a roof. Some buyers in recent years spent all of their money for the down payment, inspection, and appraisal, and they may be in a situation where they don't even have money to cover maintenance on their home. Here's what often happens in that scenario. The home will fall into disrepair, making it harder to sell down the road. How many homes in your area are in disrepair because the homeowners don't have the money to make the repairs? I'm sure all of you have driven by several properties yourself that have fallen into disrepair. I think this information from Zillow today is really interesting. I doubt many real estate agents are going to share this information with their clients. Many real estate agents need a commission to pay for their luxury leased vehicle. They need a commission to pay off the credit card debt for the fancy clothes that they are wearing, and they often need a commission to pay for their large mortgage payment. In my videos, I always say to find a qualified professional in good standing who puts your interests first and foremost. That's a hard thing to do because a lot of professionals are on the take, and they want to make money from you. It's sad, but unfortunately, that is often the case. I have some real estate clients. Years ago, I helped them to purchase a home. I also helped them to sell a home. They wanted my help recently with buying another property. I showed them several properties, and I eventually told them I think they would be better off renting for a while and wait for this real estate market to come back to reality. I don't need to earn a commission from them. I want them to do what is going to be in their best interest and not in my best interest. Not all real estate agents are going to do that. Many depend on commissions to survive, or else they would have to go out and get a 9-to-5 job. Even if some buyers find a real estate agent who puts his or her client's interests first, the buyers may not listen to their agent. Some buyers are just desperate to buy a home, and many make a bad financial decision. I read a story today that really hits home regarding how desperate some buyers are. The story was put out by CBS News and written by Eliza Chasson. It is titled, "2/3 of buyers would get a haunted house. Zillow survey finds." According to the author of the article, 67% of prospective home buyers would purchase a haunted house as long as it was affordable, in a good location, or had other appeal, a Zillow survey found. Did you know that in some states, sellers don't need to disclose that the house is haunted on the seller's disclosure form? I once showed a bank-owned home to a young couple. It was vacant and priced really cheap. I got to the showing before them and started talking to a neighbor. The neighbor told me that a lady used to run a home daycare in the house. A child died there, and it was deemed to be an accident. Then, some time went by, and another child died there. And this time, the lady was investigated, and it was found to be a murder. She went to jail, and the house went into foreclosure. I told my clients about this after they arrived, and they still wanted to see the house. The woman seemed interested in the house still, but her man wasn't having it. He told me if his kids came running into his room in the middle of the night crying because they saw a ghost, he wanted to be able to tell them without a shadow of a doubt that there were no ghosts in the house. He didn't feel as though he could do that now that he knew that at least one child had been murdered in the house. I certainly would not have wanted to purchase that house for myself either. Even if you don't believe in ghosts, Would you really want to live in a home where at least one child had been murdered, possibly two? For this particular house, a seller's disclosure would not have been required anyway because it was a bank-owned property. For non-bank-owned homes in my state, there is no area on the seller's disclosure where a seller needs to disclose that the property could be haunted. In my state, if you directly ask the listing agent to find out from the sellers if a crime has occurred at the property or if the property is haunted, the sellers must then respond and provide that information. They do not have to list that information on the seller's disclosure form. This might be completely different in your state or your country, so it's important to find out this information from the licensed real estate professional that you are working with. What do you think about all this? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Please keep in mind that nothing in this video is financial advice, real estate advice, or advice of any kind. If you need advice, seek advice from a qualified professional in good standing who puts your interests first and foremost. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel. Please also consider sharing this video via social media or via email with your friends. I want to extend a special thanks to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. I want to also thank all of my channel members. Check out some of the great books that I suggest you consider reading in the description below. I've included Amazon affiliate links to these books. As an Amazon associate, I earn from qualifying purchases. Stay healthy and wealthy. I'll see everyone in the next video.